The massive crystal dome hung in space like a jewel. Inside, 12 different alien species sat around a table that could fit a small building. This was the Galactic Dominion Council, the most powerful group in the known universe. They had ruled the stars for 50,000 years. Commander Hyuk stood at the back of the room. He was the only human in the chamber. His dark uniform looked plain next to the colorful robes and strange armor of the alien council members. He had been Earth's representative for 3 years now, but the aliens still treated him like a child. The humans refused to give up their mining rights, said Council Leader Vorthak. The insect-like alien clicked his mandibles in annoyance. His 6 eyes moved independently as he looked at a holographic display. They claim the Kepler system belongs to them. General Quillex slammed one of his 6 arms on the table. The reptilian warrior's scales turned a darker shade of green, showing his anger. Impossible! We have ruled this galaxy since before their species learned to make fire. How dare they challenge us? Other council members murmured agreement. They spoke in dozens of different languages, but the translation devices made everything clear. Hyuk listened to their words and felt a cold fear in his stomach. Perhaps we should talk to them again, Hyuk said. His voice sounded small in the huge chamber. Humans can be reasonable if you approach them the right way. The council members turned to look at him. Some laughed. Others made sounds that might have been laughter in their own species. Vorthak's multiple eyes focused on Hyuk with what looked like amusement. Commander Hyuk, Vorthak said in a voice like grinding metal, your species has been in space for only 200 years. We have been conquering worlds since before your planet had complex life. Do you really think humans can stand against us? I know my people, Hyuk replied. We may be young, but we learn fast. And we don't give up easily. General Quillex stood up. His full height reached nearly 3 meters. Your species discovered faster than light travel by accident. You found one of our old research stations and copied the technology. You have 47 worlds. We control 47,000 systems. What could you possibly do against us? The council chamber filled with more sounds of alien amusement. Hyuk felt his face grow hot, but he kept his expression calm. He had learned that showing emotion made the aliens respect humans even less. Look at the numbers, said Counselor Threx, a floating jellyfish-like being surrounded by a water sphere. Our fleet has 500 dreadnought ships. Each one is 5 kilometers long. The humans have 50 small ships defending their mining colony. This will not even be a real battle. Their largest ship is barely 800 meters long, added another counselor. Our weapons could destroy it with a single shot. Hyuk took a step forward. Size isn't everything. Humans have other advantages, such as, Vorthak asked. We think differently than you do. We adapt. We survive. The council members exchanged glances. Some of them were from species so old that their home stars had already died and been reborn. They had seen thousands of young species try to challenge the Dominion. All of them had been crushed. Your species is brave, I will give you that, Vorthak said. But bravery without power is just foolishness. We have studied human military tactics. You fight in predictable patterns. Your ships move in formations we learned to counter 20,000 years ago. General Quillex activated a holographic display. It showed the Kepler system with Earth's small fleet positioned around the mining colony. They have placed their ships in a defensive circle. This is Basic Strategy 101. We will approach in battle square formation, overwhelm their defenses, and force surrender within hours. What if they don't surrender? Hyuk asked. Then we will destroy them, Quillex replied without emotion. We have given your species many chances to join the Dominion as a junior member. You have refused. You have chosen to fight instead. So we will show you why resistance is impossible. Nari, another human who worked in the intelligence division, sat quietly at a side table. She had been monitoring alien communications for months. Her fingers moved quickly over a small device, sending an encrypted message to Earth. Hyuk caught her eye and saw the worry there. The vote is simple, Vorthak announced. All in favor of immediate military action against the human colony in the Kepler system. 11 arms, tentacles, and appendages rose in the air. Only Hyuk kept his hand down. The motion passes, Vorthak said. General Quillex, how long will you need to prepare the fleet? The ships are already in position, Quillex replied. We can begin the attack in 6 hours. Excellent. This will serve as a lesson to any other young species who think they can challenge our authority. Hyuk felt the weight of the moment. In 6 hours, the most powerful military force in the galaxy would attack 50 human ships. The aliens expected total victory. They saw it as pest control, not war. Council Leader Vorthak, Hayek said, I request permission to contact my government. They should have a chance to surrender before the attack begins. Very well, Vorthak replied. You have 1 hour. But tell them this, surrender now, or face complete destruction. Those are their only choices. The council session ended. Alien representatives filed out of the chamber, talking excitedly about the coming battle. Some were already making bets on how quickly the humans would be defeated. Yuk and Nari walked together toward the communication center. Neither spoke until they were away from alien ears. Did you get the message out? Yuk asked quietly. Yes, Nari replied, but I don't know if it will be enough. They really think this will be easy. They don't know humans like we do, Yuk said. They see our small fleet and think we're weak. They don't understand that humans fight hardest when the odds are worst. I hope you're right, Nari said. Because in 6 hours we're going to find out if human determination can beat alien technology. Yuk looked out at the stars through a window. Somewhere out there, 50 human ships were preparing to face 500 alien dreadnoughts. The aliens expected swift victory, but Hyuk knew something they didn't. Humans had a talent for turning impossible situations into unexpected victories. The question was whether that would be enough. The war room beneath Geneva buzzed with activity. Admiral Daiho stood at the center of it all, watching dozens of screens that showed information from across human space. The room had no windows and no decorations. Everything was built for function, not beauty. A soft chime announced an incoming message. Daiho touched his earpiece and listened. His face grew serious as he heard Nari's warning from the Alien Council. How long do we have? Asked Dr. G1. The scientist looked tired. She had been working on secret projects for months, barely sleeping. 6 hours until they attack, Daiho replied. Maybe less. Captain Minho entered the room, still wearing his ship's uniform. He had rushed here from the orbital shipyards where his crew was making final preparations. The Indomitable is ready, sir. All experimental systems are online. Good, Daiho said. What about the other ships? 49 vessels total, Minho reported. Not counting the civilian transports we evacuated yesterday. Every captain knows the plan. Engineer Soman looked up from her workstation. Her screens showed weapon designs and technical specifications. The special equipment has been loaded onto all ships. Every captain has the activation codes, Daiho nodded. For months, Earth's best minds had been preparing for this moment. They knew the aliens would eventually lose patience with human independence. The question was whether humanity's secret preparations would be enough. Show me what we have, Daiho said. Dr. G1 activated a holographic display. 3 different weapon designs appeared in the air above the table. The Prometheus project has created these based on human military thinking. The aliens won't expect them because they're too simple. The first design looked like a long metal rod. Kinetic harpoons, G1 explained. Pure tungsten, accelerated to 30% of light speed. No explosives, no energy signature, just mass and velocity. Will they work against alien shields? Minho asked. Their shields stop energy weapons, Soman replied. Plasma, lasers, particle beams. But they're not designed for solid objects moving that fast. It's like trying to stop a bullet with a screen door. The second design was a small sphere covered in electronics. EMP mines, G1 continued. Electromagnetic pulse devices. They shut down alien computer systems for about 90 seconds. That doesn't sound like much time, said Captain Yerim, who had just arrived from her ship. It's enough, Daiho replied. Alien ships are completely automated. Their crews don't know how to operate manually. 90 seconds of blindness is like 90 minutes for us. The third design made everyone stop talking. It looked like a small black cube, but the space around it seemed to bend slightly. Gravity bombs, G1 said quietly. Still experimental. They create localized gravitational distortions. Essentially, they make a tiny black hole that lasts for a few seconds. How tiny? Minho asked. Big enough to tear apart a ship from the inside, Soman replied. The alien vessels are huge, but that makes them more vulnerable. Their own mass becomes a weapon against them. Daiho studied the weapons. They were unlike anything in standard galactic warfare. Most space battles involved massive energy exchanges between ships that could destroy planets. Humans had chosen a different path. The aliens have been fighting the same way for thousands of years, Daiho explained. Big ships, big guns, predictable tactics. They expect us to fight like them. Instead, we're going to fight like humans. What does that mean? asked Lieutenant Kiwoo, the youngest officer in the room. It means we break every rule, Captain Minho replied. No formations, no honor duels, no fair fights. We hit them fast, hit them hard, and hit them where they don't expect it. Dr. Jiwon brought up tactical displays. Alien military doctrine is based on something they call the battle square. 500 ships arranged in a perfect cube formation. Each ship has a specific role and position. They've used this formation to conquer thousands of worlds. It's efficient against traditional enemies, Soman added. But it has weaknesses. The ships can't move independently without breaking formation. They communicate through predictable channels. And they all think the same way. Deho walked over to a different display showing the human fleet. 50 ships of various sizes scattered around the mining colony on Kepler 442b. They looked tiny compared to the alien armada. Our advantage isn't numbers or firepower, Deho said. It's unpredictability. Each of our captains can make independent decisions. We can adapt in real time. The aliens can't. Captain Yerim studied the enemy formation. 500 dreadnoughts. Each one outguns our entire fleet. How do we even get close enough to use these weapons? We don't fight all 500 at once, Minho replied. We make them fight us one at a time. Fast ships' hit-and-run attacks divide their attention. The alien commanders will try to maintain formation, Dr. Jiwon explained. It's what they've always done. But our fighters are small enough to get inside their formation. Once we're among them, they can't use their heavy weapons without hitting each other. Engineer Soman activated another display. I've been studying alien ship designs for years. They're beautiful, but they're not practical. Too much empty space, too many weak points. They built them to look impressive, not to fight efficiently. What about their crews? Lieutenant Kiwoo asked. That's our biggest advantage, Deho replied. Alien military service is based on honor and tradition. They follow orders without question. They never improvise. Human crews are trained to think for themselves. Captain Minho nodded. Our pilots practice in simulators that change the rules randomly. We train for chaos. The aliens train for perfection. Which is why this might actually work, Dr. Jiwon said. They're expecting a traditional space battle. We're giving them something completely different. Deho looked around the room at his officers. Each of them understood what they were facing. In a few hours, the most powerful military force in the galaxy would attack their small fleet. By every logical calculation, humanity should lose quickly and completely. I won't lie to you, Deho said. The odds are terrible. We're outnumbered 10-1. Our ships are smaller and our weapons are weaker in a direct fight. But we have something they don't expect. What's that, sir? Kiwoo asked. We're human, Deho replied. We've been fighting impossible odds since we lived in caves. Every time someone said we couldn't do something, we found a way to do it anyway. Today we show the galaxy what that means. Engineer Soman began transmitting final weapon specifications to the fleet. Each ship would receive its special equipment within the hour. The captains already knew their roles, but the specific tactics would be decided during the battle. Remember, Captain Minho said as the officers prepared to return to their ships. The aliens think this will be easy. They're not taking us seriously. That's our biggest weapon. Dr. Jiwon powered down the displays. The Prometheus project equipment is ready. Every ship has what it needs. Now it's up to the crews. Admiral Deho watched his officers leave the war room. In a few hours, they would face the ultimate test of human determination. The aliens expected swift victory, but they were about to learn that humans had never been very good at meeting expectations. Good hunting, he said quietly, as the last officer left. The real battle was about to begin. The Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace like a wall of metal and lights. 500 massive ships appeared in perfect formation around the Kepler system. Each dreadnought stretched 5 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Captain Taman watched from the bridge of the mining station as the alien armada took position. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. He had never seen so many ships in one place. The alien fleet looked like a moving city made of steel and energy. They're beautiful, whispered Lieutenant Yuna from her fighter cockpit. She was stationed on the small carrier Defiant, waiting for the order to launch. Terrifying, but beautiful. The alien ships moved with perfect precision. No wasted motion, no uncertainty. They arranged themselves in a cube formation that had conquered 1,000 worlds. General Quilex's flagship, the Eternal Dominion, took position at the center of the formation. Human vessels, came a transmission on all frequencies. The voice belonged to General Quilex himself. You are surrounded and outnumbered. Surrender immediately and your lives will be spared. Continue to resist and you will be destroyed. Captain Taman looked around his bridge. His crew was a mix of military officers and civilian volunteers. Kiwu, the engineer, had stayed to help defend the station even though he could have evacuated with the other civilians. Well, asked his communications officer. What do we tell them? Taman thought of his family back on Earth. He thought of the hundreds of human colonies scattered across dozens of star systems. If they surrendered here, it would send a message to the entire galaxy. Humans could be intimidated. Humans would back down when faced with superior force. Open a channel, Taman ordered. The main screen showed General Quilex on his flagship bridge. The alien commander looked confident, almost bored. His 6 arms moved casually as he waited for the human response. This is Captain Taman of the Kepler Defense Force, Taman said clearly. You want our colony? Come and take it. General Quilex tilted his reptilian head. I do not understand that reference. You will, Taman replied and cut the transmission. On the alien flagship, General Quilex studied the human response. His tactical computers could not find the phrase, come and take it, in their databases of human military communications. It seemed primitive and meaningless. Perhaps their translation systems are malfunctioning, suggested his aide. No matter, Quilex replied. They have chosen destruction over wisdom. Begin the attack. The Dominion fleet opened fire with a coordinated barrage that lit up space. Hundreds of energy beams and plasma bolts streaked toward the human positions. The aliens expected to see ships exploding and debris scattering across the void. Instead, their weapons hit empty space. Where did they go? Demanded General Quilex. The human ships had scattered the moment the aliens began charging their weapons. Instead of maintaining defensive positions, they had broken formation and spread across the system. Some headed for the asteroid belt. Others dove toward the system's star. A few seemed to be running away entirely. Cowards, muttered one of Quilex's officers. They flee before the battle even begins. But Lieutenant Una was not fleeing. She led a squadron of 20 small fighters on what looked like a suicide run, straight toward the alien flagship. The fighters were tiny compared to the massive dreadnoughts, like gnats attacking elephants. Destroy those insects, Quilex ordered. The alien point defense systems activated. Thousands of energy bolts filled space around the approaching fighters. Computer-controlled weapons tracked the small ships with perfect accuracy, but the fighters didn't fly in straight lines. They weaved and spun through the defensive fire with impossible grace. Human reflexes and intuition proved faster than alien computer predictions. The fighters danced between death beams like leaves in a storm. How are they doing that? Asked an alien gunner. Their movements make no sense, replied another. They should have been destroyed by now. Una felt the familiar calm that came during combat. Her fighter responded to her thoughts as much as her controls. She had been flying since she was 15 years old, starting with atmospheric craft and moving to space fighters. Every human pilot trained in chaos, learning to react faster than they could think. The alien weapons were incredibly powerful, but they were designed to fight other large ships. They had trouble tracking something as small and unpredictable as a human fighter. The targeting computers kept trying to predict where the fighters would go next, but humans didn't fly by computer logic. Almost there, Una said into her radio. Prepare for payload release. The 20 fighters reached the alien formation and suddenly split apart. Each one took a different path through the massive ships. The aliens tried to track them all, but there were too many targets moving too quickly. As they passed between the dreadnoughts, the fighters released their payloads, not missiles or bombs, but thousands of small metal spheres that bounced harmlessly off the alien shields. The spheres scattered throughout the fleet formation like marbles. General Quilex watched the display with confusion. What are those objects? Unknown, sir, replied his sensor officer. They appear to be simple metal alloys. No energy signatures, no explosive components. They're completely harmless. Then why did they release them? The alien commanders studied the metal spheres floating around their ships. Some theorized they were primitive sensor devices. Others thought they might be psychological warfare weapons designed to confuse the enemy. A few suggested they were simply desperation attacks from a doomed force. None of them guessed the truth. Captain Minho watched from his ship, the Indomitable, as the fighters completed their run. Most of them had made it through the alien formation alive. The spheres were now scattered throughout the enemy fleet, attached to hull surfaces by magnetic fields. Phase 1 complete, he reported to Admiral Deho. All targeting beacons are in position. Excellent, came the reply. Begin Phase 2. The human fleet, which had seemed to scatter in panic, suddenly changed direction. Instead of running away, the ships turned back toward the alien formation. But they didn't approach in any recognizable pattern. Each ship moved independently, following its own course. General Quilek studied the human movements with growing confusion. What kind of formation is this? I don't understand their strategy. Perhaps they have no strategy, suggested his aide. Human military doctrine is primitive. They may simply be attacking at random. Impossible, Quilek replied. No species could survive in space without basic tactical knowledge. But that was exactly what the humans were doing. They were abandoning every rule of space warfare that had existed for thousands of years. No formations, no coordination, no predictable patterns. Each ship was making its own decisions based on the constantly changing battle situation. The aliens had spent 50,000 years perfecting the art of organized warfare. They had created beautiful, efficient tactical systems that could defeat any traditional enemy. But humans weren't fighting traditionally. They were fighting like humans. Kiwu monitored the battle from the mining station. His engineering background helped him understand what the human fleet was doing. They weren't trying to win a conventional space battle. They were creating chaos on a massive scale. It's working, he said to Captain Taman. Look at their formation. It's starting to break apart. The alien ships were having trouble maintaining their perfect cube arrangement. They kept trying to track multiple small targets that were moving in impossible patterns. Some dreadnoughts collided with each other as they attempted to bring weapons to bear on human fighters. This is not how battles are supposed to be fought, General Quilek said with growing frustration. He was about to learn that humans had never been very good at following rules. The metal spheres activated all at once. Electromagnetic pulses erupted throughout the alien fleet like invisible lightning. The carefully organized battle square formation suddenly went dark, as computer systems failed across 500 ships. Bridge lights flickered and died. Weapon systems shut down. Navigation computers crashed. General Quilek felt his flagship shudder as the Eternal Dominion lost power. Emergency lighting cast red shadows across the bridge as his crew scrambled to understand what had happened. Report, he demanded. All systems are offline, sir, his communications officer replied, working frantically at a manual console. We're blind and deaf. Estimated time to restore primary systems is 90 seconds. 90 seconds? Quilek roared. In 90 seconds, we could all be dead. He was right. The moment the alien ships went dark, the human fleet struck. But they didn't attack with energy weapons or missiles. Instead, they fired simple tungsten rods accelerated to incredible speeds. Commander Junho's stealth ship, the Ghostwalker, had positioned itself behind the alien flagship during the confusion. His ship was tiny compared to the massive dreadnought, but size didn't matter for what came next. Kinetic harpoons away, Junho reported calmly. The tungsten rods moved faster than the eye could follow. They struck the Eternal Dominion's hull with the force of nuclear weapons, but without the flash or heat. The alien ship's shields, designed to stop energy attacks, offered no protection against solid matter moving at 30% of light speed. The rods punched through 5 kilometers of alien armor, like it was paper. They tore through deck after deck, leaving perfectly round holes that vented atmosphere and crew into space. The massive ship began to break apart from the inside. Impossible, whispered General Quilek as his flagship died around him. Our shield should have stopped that. But human weapons engineers had studied alien defenses for months. They knew that energy shields worked by dispersing and deflecting plasma and laser fire. Against simple kinetic weapons, the shields were useless. Across the fleet, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared from every direction, firing tungsten rods at point-blank range. The aliens couldn't fight back because their computer systems were still rebooting from the EMP attack. Lieutenant Yuna led another fighter strike, this time against a cluster of alien cruisers. Her small craft danced between the massive ships like a hummingbird among elephants. The cruisers tried to track her with their backup systems, but human reflexes were faster than alien manual controls. These ships are too big, she said into her radio as she released another payload. They can't turn fast enough to follow us. The alien commanders had built their fleet for intimidation as much as warfare. The massive dreadnoughts looked impressive and could destroy planets, but they were clumsy in close combat. Human fighters could fly circles around them. Pilot Heian in her fighter Shrike had already destroyed 3 alien ships. Her approach was different from Yuna's graceful dancing. Han flew with calculated precision, striking weak points with surgical accuracy. "Bridge tower on the next target," she reported, taking it down. Her kinetic round severed the command section from a kilometer-long battleship. Without its bridge, the alien vessel drifted helplessly as its crew tried to regain control from secondary command centers. The alien formation was collapsing. Ships that had maintained perfect positions for the entire approach were now scattered across the system. Some collided with each other as their crews struggled with manual controls. Others fired wildly in all directions, hitting friendly vessels. Captain Minho brought the Indomitable close to a group of alien heavy cruisers. His ship carried the most experimental weapons in the human fleet, including Dr. Jiwan's gravity bombs. "Deploying gravitational distortion devices," he announced. The small black cubes detached from his ship and drifted toward the alien vessels. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then space itself began to bend around the devices. The gravity bombs created localized distortions that turned the aliens' own mass against them. The massive ships, built to withstand external attacks, tore themselves apart as artificial gravity fields pulled them in impossible directions. Hull plates buckled, support beams snapped, entire sections of ship folded in on themselves. "What are they doing to us?" screamed an alien captain as his ship twisted into a pretzel shape. Communications officer Sun Wu coordinated the chaos from his position on the human command ship. His job was to make sure every human vessel knew where every other human vessel was, so they wouldn't accidentally shoot each other in the confusion. "This is like herding cats," he muttered as he tracked 50 different ships moving in 50 different directions. But the system worked. Human crews were trained to operate independently while staying in contact with the whole fleet. The aliens had no such flexibility. Their communication systems were still recovering from the EMP attack, and their crews didn't know how to coordinate without computer assistance. What had been a perfectly organized battle formation became a swirling mess of confused ships. "We need to regroup," General Quillex ordered from his damaged flagship. But his orders couldn't reach most of his fleet. The human attack had cut the alien communication network into pieces. Some alien ships tried to retreat, but human fighters followed them like wolves chasing prey. The small craft could change direction faster than the massive dreadnoughts could turn. Every time an alien ship tried to run, human fighters appeared to block their path. Other alien vessels attempted to form smaller defensive groups, but the humans had scattered them too widely. Ships that should have been supporting each other were now isolated and vulnerable. The battle square formation, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, existed only in the tactical manuals. In reality, the alien fleet was scattered across millions of kilometers of space, with individual ships fighting desperate battles against multiple human attackers. "How long has it been?" asked General Quillex. 8 minutes since the attack began, sir," his aide replied. 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, the most powerful fleet in galactic history had been reduced to scattered groups of damaged ships. The humans had turned organized warfare into organized chaos, and chaos was their natural element. Captain Taman watched from the mining station as alien ships exploded in the distance. Each flash of light represented a dreadnought that had taken years to build and carried thousands of crew members. The aliens were losing ships faster than his sensors could count. "Are we actually winning?" asked Kiwu in amazement. "It looks like it," Taman replied. "But don't celebrate yet. The battle isn't over." He was right. Some alien ships were still fighting, and their weapons could still destroy human vessels with a single hit. But the tide had clearly turned. The aliens had expected to crush a primitive enemy in a matter of hours. Instead, they were being systematically destroyed by an enemy they had completely misunderstood. In the command centers of the surviving alien ships, officers stared at their displays in disbelief. Nothing in their military training had prepared them for this kind of warfare. The humans fought without honor, without formation, without any respect for the traditional rules of combat, and it was devastatingly effective. "Sir," reported an alien sensor officer, "we've lost over 60% of the fleet. Remaining ships are scattered and unable to coordinate." General Quillex closed his eyes. In less than 10 minutes, his invincible armada had been reduced to broken fragments. The humans had done something that should have been impossible. They had won. 12 minutes after the battle began, it was over. General Quillex stared at the tactical display from his crippled flagship. Where once 500 proud ships had sailed in perfect formation, now only scattered debris and emergency signals remained. Less than 50 alien vessels were still capable of movement, and most of those were badly damaged. The human fleet, meanwhile, moved through the wreckage like ghosts. Their small ships darted between floating hulks searching for survivors. Not one human vessel had been destroyed, though several showed damage from the brief exchange of fire. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "the humans are sending us a message." "Put it through," Quillex replied. His voice sounded hollow. Admiral Deho appeared on the main screen. The human commander looked tired but determined. Behind him, Quillex could see the organized chaos of a human command center, with officers moving efficiently between stations. "General Quillex," Deho said formally, "do you surrender?" Quillex looked around his bridge. Half his crew was dead or injured. His flagship was venting atmosphere from dozens of holes. His mighty fleet was nothing but scrap metal floating in space. "How?" he asked. "How did you defeat us so quickly? We had 10 times your numbers. Our ships were larger, our weapons more powerful." "How is this possible?" Admiral Deho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was not triumphant but almost sad. "You fought the last war, General. We fought the next one. I don't understand." "Your people have been using the same tactics for thousands of years," Deho explained. "Perfect formations, overwhelming firepower, honor duels between massive ships. It worked against every enemy you faced because they all fought the same way you did. And humans fight differently?" "Humans fight to win," Captain Minho said, appearing beside Deho on the screen. "We don't care about honor or tradition or looking impressive. We care about going home alive." General Quillex thought about this. In all his years of military service, he had never encountered an enemy that ignored the basic rules of warfare. The humans had broken every principle of civilized combat, and it had destroyed his fleet. "Your weapons," Quillex said, "they were so simple. Metal rods and electromagnetic pulses, children's toys compared to our plasma cannons." "Sometimes simple is better," Admiral Deho replied. "Your shield stopped our energy weapons, so we used kinetic weapons. Your computers controlled your ships, so we disabled your computers. You relied on formation fighting, so we scattered and fought as individuals." Dr. Jiwan's voice came through the communication system from Earth. "General Quillex, your technology is incredible. Your ships are works of art. But you stopped innovating thousands of years ago. You perfected energy weapons and shields, then never moved beyond them. While humans kept changing," added Engineer Soman. "We've only been in space for 200 years, but we've never stopped learning. Every war teaches us something new. Every defeat makes us stronger." General Quillex closed his eyes. His species had ruled the galaxy for 50 millennia. They had grown comfortable with their superiority, confident that their ancient methods would always work. The humans had proven them wrong in the most devastating way possible. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we rescue your survivors," Admiral Deho replied. "Our medical ships are already treating alien wounded. Your people will be returned to your territory unharmed." This shocked Quillex more than the military defeat. "You're not going to execute us? Enslave us? Demand tribute? Why would we do that?" asked Captain Taman, speaking from the mining station. "We didn't fight this battle to conquer anyone. We fought to defend our home." Lieutenant Yuna's voice joined the conversation from her fighter. "General, my grandfather always told me that the best way to win a war is to make it so the loser doesn't want to fight you again. Killing prisoners just makes more enemies." Across the battlefield, human ships were indeed rescuing alien survivors. Medical teams worked frantically to save alien crew members from damaged vessels. Engineers helped repair life support systems on drifting ships. The humans treated their defeated enemies with the same care they would show their own people. "This is not how war is conducted," General Quillex said in confusion. "This is how humans conduct war," Diplomatic Aide Bora replied, speaking from Earth. "We fight hard when we have to, but we try to make peace when we can." General Quillex made a decision that would change galactic history. "I surrender," he said formally. "The Dominion fleet yields to human forces. We request safe passage for our survivors." "Granted," Admiral Deho replied immediately. "Your people will be treated with honor and returned safely to your territory." The formal surrender was broadcast throughout the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, alien species that had lived under Dominion rule for millennia heard the impossible news. The invincible fleet had been defeated by a young species that most aliens had never heard of. On Earth, celebrations erupted in every major city. But the celebrations were tempered by the knowledge that this was just the beginning. The galaxy now knew that humans could fight, but they also knew that humans were not conquerors. Commander Hugh and Nari returned to Earth as heroes. Their intelligence work had given humanity the warning it needed to prepare for the attack. But more importantly, they had shown that humans and aliens could work together when necessary. The Galactic Dominion Council met in emergency session. Council leader Vorthak, his multiple eyes dim with shame, formally recognized human sovereignty over their territory. The vote was unanimous. Perhaps, Vorthak said quietly, we have something to learn from these humans. Dr. Jiwon traveled to the Dominion capital to share human scientific knowledge with alien researchers. Engineer Summon began working with alien engineers to develop new technologies that combined human innovation with alien expertise. The age of human isolation was over, but so was the age of alien supremacy. The galaxy had learned that advancement came not from size or tradition, but from the willingness to adapt and change. In the months that followed, human ships visited alien worlds not as conquerors, but as trading partners and allies. Young alien species that had been suppressed by the Dominion found new hope in human example. If humanity could stand up to the greatest military force in the galaxy, perhaps they could find their own independence. General Quilex, after his recovery, requested a meeting with Admiral Deho. They met on a neutral space station, two military commanders from different worlds trying to understand each other. I have studied your tactics, Quilex said. I still do not fully understand how you defeated us so completely. It wasn't tactics, Deho replied. It was thinking. You expected us to fight like everyone else in the galaxy. When we didn't, your entire strategy fell apart. And if we had been prepared for your methods? Admiral Deho smiled. Then we would have found different methods. That's what humans do. We adapt, Quilex nodded slowly. Perhaps that is why your species will survive when others fail. You do not cling to the past. We learn from the past, Deho corrected, but we don't live in it. The meeting ended with something unprecedented in galactic history. A former enemy asking to study human military methods, not to defeat them but to learn from them. Back on Earth, children learned about the Battle of Kepler in their history classes. They learned that 50 human ships had defeated 500 alien dreadnoughts in 12 minutes. But more importantly, they learned that victory came not from superior weapons or numbers but from superior thinking. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. But more importantly, humanity had shown that even the most impossible challenges could be overcome with determination, innovation, and the courage to try something new. The age of human expansion into the wider galaxy had begun, and it would be unlike anything the universe had ever seen.